Have you thought about buying a rental property this year? In this video, we're going to tell you everything you need to know if you want to buy a rental property. Obviously, we're not in Montana this week, and I will give you bonus points if you can guess where we are. Leave your comments below. But let's get started on buying a rental property. So the first thing you want to do if you're going to buy a rental property this year is find a good lender and talk to your lender. And one of the things that'll be helpful when you get to that point is to know your credit score. And I have done a little research. There's a website called creditkarma.com that you can use that does not ding your credit score for checking on it. What Credit Karma does is it's called a soft credit inquiry, and it does not ding your credit, so you can check your score all day, every day, whenever you want, and it doesn't hurt your credit score as it would if you were applying for a credit card or going to the bank for a loan. So if you know your credit score, it will help the lender be able to just kind of tell you some options right over the phone. If you want them to do a full credit report, like I said, it will take a couple points off of your score, and most people don't want to do that. So if you'd like me to recommend a lender, I know a great one that answered a few questions for me, and I'd be happy to refer you to her. You can get a hold of us with our information at the end of the video or in the notes in the description. So what she told me the other day is that rates are a little higher on an investment property than they would be if you're getting a loan on a primary home or a second home. The down payments required for these type of loans are usually from 15 to 20%, but she recommends 25% down in order to get the best rate. So when it comes to your credit score, you're going to need at least a 680 score, but most of the lenders require a 720 or better. And obviously that's the better your score, the lower your interest rate is going to be. And you should also have 6 months in reserves, and what that means is whatever your mortgage payment is going to be, you should have whatever six of those payments in reserve after closing and all the expenses that come with closing. And depending on your credit score, sometimes if there's a valid lease on the property you're going to buy, if there's already renters in it paying rent, in some cases they can use that future rent as part of your income, so that would be helpful as well. So what they're going to look at is your tax returns for the past 3 years, and they look at the average income that you've made. And they're also going to want the last 3 to 6 months of your bank statements. So just have all these things ready. And like I said, if you can look up your credit score, that'll give you a good idea right out of the gate where you stand once you talk to a lender. So once you've talked to a lender, the second thing you're going to want to do is find a good real estate agent. In this market right now, and it happens all the time the market gets good, there's tons of new people getting into the business, and everybody has to start somewhere. I was a new agent once, but if you're buying an investment property, you should really have somebody that has the experience, that has dealt with multiple offers, because you're probably going to run into this in this current market situation. And you should also have somebody that understands inspections and what you're going to need to look for when you're buying an investment property. So when you're looking for an agent, make sure to interview them and ask about their experience and if they've ever bought or helped somebody purchase a rental property before. It's very important to have a good agent in this market if you want to get a good deal on an investment property. So once you've found a good agent, the next thing you want to do is start learning the market. And I would suggest looking at, you don't just go out and buy the first place that you find. Look at all the properties in the neighborhood or the area that you want to be and get a good idea of what you're up against, because they're going to vary in price, they're going to vary in condition, and it will only help you if you know the market. And obviously your agent can help with this too, but you need to get in there and put your eyes on the place and see what you're buying and see how, say a $400,000 place compares to a $300,000 place, compares to a $200,000 place in this market. And all this will come in handy once you end up making an offer or finding a place that you want to make an offer on. So there's going to be multiple different types of rental properties that you can buy. You could buy a single family home, you could buy a condo, you could buy a duplex, a triplex, There's numerous different things. So like I said, getting to know the market for whatever type of property you're going to buy is only going to benefit you. As far as condos go, they can be a good investment, but one of the things you have to be careful of is if with HOAs, there can be assessments in the future and things that come up that, the HOA wants everybody to chip in and fix. And that's just going to add to your cost and lower your cash flow on that particular property. So if you are going to buy a condo, be sure to check into the HOA and know the rules, know the covenants, so that you don't get burned a year from now when they tell you that you got to come up with 10 grand because they're putting in a pool or something to that effect. The other thing you need to look at is the zoning and the regulations and what type of rentals they allow. In our area, you can do nightly, weekly rentals, but only in a specific part of town. And if you're looking to make income on that type of rental, you want to make sure that you're allowed to do nightly and weekly rentals, and that will be within the zoning that allows that or doesn't allow that. The other obvious thing you're going to want to look at when you look at properties is the location. If you're nearby schools, obviously you're going to bring in more people that have kids that want to rent. If you're on a busy road, that may take away those type of people. They don't want their kids playing on a busy road. So these are all things to keep in mind when you're finding a location, and scout out the neighborhood once you find a place and just make sure that it works, and drive by it different times of day and just do your homework and make sure it's in a good spot, and that will only help you get more rent in the future. So once you've gotten to know the market and you found a place that might work for you, you have to make sure cash flows, and this is obviously the most important part of buying an investment property. You do not want to buy something that ends up costing more than you're bringing in for obvious reasons. So what you want to do, once you find a neighborhood that you like or a property that you like, check out what the rents are and going for in that particular neighborhood. You aren't going to get tons more than a similar property down the street. So make sure you do your homework on what rents are in that neighborhood. And you can call some rental management companies. There's a few of them that will actually do a report for you and tell you exactly what they want or what they think they could get for rent in that neighborhood. So figuring out your cash flow is pretty simple. Basically, you're going to take your mortgage payment is your main expense. And you may have your taxes and insurance built into that, but if not, you obviously add those in. And then you figure out your routine expenses that you're going to need in that neighborhood, whether it's snow plowing, landscape. You can put that in the lease that your tenants mow the lawn, or you can pay for that. But obviously all these types of expenses you have to build in. And then you take the rent you're going to get per month, and hopefully you at least break even, because basically you're having somebody else pay for your mortgage. You don't want to be making less every month than you're paying in mortgage. A good cash flow is $500, $800 a month. It'll vary in different areas, but as long as you're making money every month on this house, that's a great thing. It's a great way to build your wealth. The one other thing I forgot to mention that you can build into that too is when you get with your lender and they tell you the mortgage and you know all those numbers, you can also do the amortization schedule and see in the first year how much principal you're paying down, and that can also be built into the number. So at the end of the year, you're also going to owe less on the house, and that, if you're breaking even on the payment, you're still doing well, because at the end of the year, you're going to owe less on the house than you did at the beginning of the year. Okay, so now that you've found a lender, found an agent, know the market, know the neighborhood, it's time to make an offer on the house. So here again, this is why it's so important to have a good agent, because as I said earlier, in this market, more than likely, if it's a decent deal, you're going to have multiple offers. So you're going to need an agent that knows how to navigate those offers and gets you to be the winning offer. So one of the big things you need to look for when you're going to make an offer on a house is any of the big ticket items that may come up. Make sure you check the foundation, the roof, the electrical, things like that. They're going to cost a lot of money to repair, and that's going to ruin your cash flow. And the other thing to think about too is you're not buying this for yourself. This is a business investment. So don't get hung up on whether you like the carpeting or the color of the walls or anything like that. You know, if it cash flows, it's a good deal. The things that are okay that you shouldn't get too worried about is if it just needs painting or the landscaping or little things like that. If it's dated a little bit, those are repairs that can be made and should be made so you get more rent, but those are much cheaper than, like I said, the foundation or electrical or things like that. So when you get an inspection done, make sure you focus on those big things and make sure that you're not going to get caught up in a house that's going to end up costing you a ton of money down the road. A couple other things to think about too is carpeting. If you think about it, every time your tenant turns over, you're going to have to pay to have those carpets cleaned every single time. And obviously you want tenants in there, and we'll talk about this a little later, that stay for a long time. But just keep that in mind. If it's, you know, a better place is one that has all tile floors or things like that that are easy to clean or, you know, get ready for a new renter. And the other thing too to keep in mind is if you can find a single level house, that just brings in more people that will want to rent it. If you're getting into some older folks that don't want stairs, a whole bunch of stairs, if you have a single level house, that will help just make a bigger pool of people out there that will want to rent your place. So the last thing we want to talk about, now that you've bought your investment property, the key, and I can't stress this enough, is to do your vetting when you find a renter. There's a lot of people out there, unfortunately, that aren't good renters, that are only going to end up costing you money, or they're calling you every week for some little issue. So do your homework on the renters, do a background check, call their references. You can also use a rental management company, but again, that's going to cut into your cash flow. And if you want to do that and just want to check every month, then build that into your cost. If you want to make more, then you do the management yourself. But like I said, the key is to find a good renter that will take care of the place. You know, you can make a deal with them that if they mow the lawn, you'll take a little bit off the rent, or if they do the repairs, that's a great thing too. So these are all things to keep in mind if you are going to buy a rental property this year. So if you have any questions about buying a rental property, feel free to contact us at any time. We'd be happy to help. And just remember that buying a rental property is one of the best things you can do to increase your wealth. And once they cash flow, and if you can buy one every couple years, it's only going to help you out. If you're a younger person, this is the best way to make money for the future. And remember, it's somebody else paying your mortgage. Someone else is buying the house for you. So that's only a good thing. You just have to do your homework and make sure you're getting the right place.
Thank you for watching our video. Please call, text, or email for more information. And don't forget to watch our other videos about Montana.